In this ring, there's no count of 10. To win, you either push your opponent out of the ring or make him touch the ground with even a fingertip or an elbow. Unlike boxing or Western wrestling, there are no weight limits, no divisions in sumo. No lightweights, welterweights or middleweights, which means you could find yourself fighting someone twice your weight and size.
Now, we're going to get one last look at Konishiki, the huge American. In addition to resentment because of Konishiki's rapid rise, there is also resentment because he is an American. In fact, some people put a curse on Konishiki prior to this tournament because if he did well, the doyo would weep tears.
My name is Saleva Fa'oli Atisanoe. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I was born in 1963, December 31st. I was a New Year's Eve baby. I went there blind. I didn't see sumo, never seen any sumo. So I didn't really know nothing about sumo. Like, nothing. I knew nothing about Japan too. Told my parents a week before I was leaving, I was going to Japan. They started screaming at me. My mom started swearing at me. What the hell are you trying to do, kid? I told them, yeah, I'm going to Japan. He goes, what the hell is Japan? I don't know, Mom, I'm going to find out. What are you going to do in Japan? I'm going to be a sumo wrestler. What the hell is sumo? I don't know too. I'm going to figure that out when I get there. I grew up watching old Japanese films. So my image of Japan was like samurai and ninjas jumping from building to building and all that shit. And then when it came to find out, when I walked, driving to the city, wow, I go, wow, like this is a city. Never been to one that big. Oh, get McDonald's. Oh man, I'm in business. I got something I know that I can eat, you know?
Sumo was going through a tremendous transition at the time that we were in Japan. The stars were largely imports. Samoans, Hawaiians lived in the stables, assimilated as Japanese, but were never really accepted as fully Japanese. They were huge, they were skilled wrestlers, they were a big draw. But while they were a big draw, there was this roiling question of what happens when they begin winning the big championships. And this divided not only the country, but the Sumo Promotion Board.
Konishiki arrives, right before the Japanese real estate bubble. You would think that it would be a, tremendous wealth gathering opportunity, of riches and things. But again, the sumo industry never really, paid the wrestlers a great deal of money. And so it's really interesting to think how, Konishiki viewed things.
I didn't really care. I didn't care because it didn't do any good to me. Like, what that has to do with my sumo? I gotta wake up tomorrow and make sure nobody kills me in practice, make sure I get my ass up there in the high rank so I can get paid, and try to get higher as soon as I can, because this sport is damaging to your body. You're doing it all year round. There's no off season.
Pre-bubble Japan was just crazy. You'd go out to restaurants and they were sprinkling gold leaf on the sushi for your consumption. I never figured out what consuming gold leaf does to you, but I'm still around.
I recall being on airplanes, flying over the big island of Hawaii with a Japanese investor looking out the window and saying, I'll buy the land from here to here.
高額な絵画を買ったりとかですね。ゴッホのひまわりをっていうのが一番有名なんですけど、あと確かにおっしゃるようにあれですね、ロックフェラーセンターを日本の企業が買ったっていうのもかなり注目されましたね。でもそれは企業ですけど、さっきは若い人たちのサラリーマンがビジネスマンがどうだったかっていうことで言うとですね、とにかくクリスマスとかバレンタインデーとかそういうイベントの時にものすごく高級なホテルがですね、この満室になるとかですね。
We had the Walkman. The Walkman was my time. When Walkman just came out, and there's so much things that I saw there that I didn't know it was Japanese. It was like a eye-opener, you know? I never had a dollar to my name anyway, so when I all saw that, like dollar signs, I go, wow, this place has some money.
There was a big movement in Washington to contain Japan. American lawmakers would come out of the Capitol and take a sledgehammer to a Toshiba radio for the cameras in a way to sort of get out their anger at Japanese imports. And for this, the sumo story really sort of played into the narrative, because this whole argument about whether or not foreigners could compete in sumo seemed to be a metaphor to whether foreigners could compete in Japan at all.
Well, the brotherhood that we have started with Jesse, who opened up the door. And my job was I was the older brothers to Akebono and Musashimaru. So it was my duty to learn from Jesse and take what he taught me to teach Akebono and Musashimaru.
One of the best known of the wrestlers turns out to be about as Japanese as apple pie. He's Jesse Kualua, who came here from Hawaii.
It took me 5 years to finally decide that I'm going to be a Japanese national, because I wanted to keep my American citizenship. The main reason why I did this, because my love for sumo, because I feel that I'm part of sumo. I want to be with sumo all the way.
1964, Yakamiyama, the first foreign-born sumo wrestler, comes to Japan, and for an American to come into sumo, such a big deal.
It's a national sport. The nation is very attached to it. Even for a regular Japanese person to enter the world of sumo, it's really hard. Like, they encounter bullying, and it's a pretty new world of super traditional Japanese things. And for the sumo world itself, that was the first time that they ever had someone enter their world who doesn't speak Japanese.
Jesse was the godfather. He not only looks like it, but he sounds like it. And he was really the groundbreaking force in allowing foreign wrestlers to break into Japan. And he did it in the right way. You know, he was very honorific, he was very sincere, and he was very well accepted by the Japanese people.
Oh, I went through a lot of hardship, I remember getting up about 4:30 in the morning, starting training at 5 o'clock, getting through at 12 o'clock, eating your meal at maybe about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no money allowance, money and scary, and your stable master used to tell you, you have to be strong, you have to train hard, then you can eat good things, and that's what encouraged me to get stronger. Well, it was 20 years after World War II, and especially when a foreigner joins sumo, they don't want to lose to him. So my Oyagata used to tell me that I must really try to go out and to win, because the Japanese they don't want to lose to a foreigner. and I proved to them that I can do it. And the Japanese fan, the sumo fan, what I did accomplished, I think I was shown a lot of respect.
輪島光が入りました。下手投げ右から絞っています。輪島もろよく残しました。輪島の回し行司は伊之助取組再開。寄り倒し高見山の勝ち。輪島敗れました。
Wajima had a hard time with him all the time because of his height, probably. This was tall. When he got his right hand on his Wajima's left side of the belt, he wouldn't let go, and that's what made Wajima trying to fight away from it and try to get away from it, but he couldn't. His grip was so strong, and he had his height advantage and stuff. So I guess mismatch.
Sumo pulls a television audience of 20 million and double that when the champions fight for the title. But you don't have to be a champion to make your fortune from sumo on TV.
At 38, Jesse is the old man of sumo wrestling. He may never get to be grand champion, but to millions of Japanese, he's a household name, the most recognized face in the business. A face that sells everything from spark plugs to office computers.
Jesse!
Would you welcome, please, Yakamiyama. All right, Jets. I'm just gonna run right at you. You ready?
Jesse Takamiyama was coming to town, and he told me what sumo life is all about. He told me if you make it, you can be a big help to the family. Financially, you're gonna be taken care of if you make it. It was harder then, but he got through it, and if he didn't get through it, I wouldn't be here today. And because of that, I came and I had an opportunity to go and do something on my own to represent me, my family, my city, my town. It started down in 1962 when Jesse first came. First time I put on a belt, that was the most embarrassing thing I felt. I was so shy. Put on a G-string and people like, that's normal to Japanese. For me, like, you're looking at my ass. From where we're sleeping to our practice area, it's in the back of the building. So to get there, every morning there's crowds of people that come and try to watch us practice. So I was trying to think, how the hell can I get my naked ass from here to there with nobody seeing my naked ass? There was no way around it. I had to walk through the crowd, and I wasn't used to that. It took a few years for me to get used to people looking at my ass, you know.
小錦千恵です。東京の浅草橋で生まれました。かなり前、もっと太ってた頃のお話なんですけど、和食のお店に食べに行って、で、彼がお手洗いに行って、で、なかなか帰ってこなくて、で、そしたらトイレからなんか私の携帯に電話がかかってきて、ちょっとトイレから出れなくなったって言って電話がかかってきて、どうしたのって言って、入る時はこう押して入るドアだったんですね。で、引くのか。どうした？こう押して入って、引いて入って、でこう出る時はこう引いて出るところだったのが、こうなんか出れなくなっちゃって、で大騒ぎになって、こうお店の人が来て、ドライバーでこうドアを外して出れたっていうそういう大きいならではの話はありました。
The thing is, people don't understand. We only eat 2 meals a day. We only eat the lunch meal and then evening to meal in the evening. So I think at least 6 to 8,000 calories per meal as a young boy. So imagine if you're not a person that really have an appetite, you're gonna learn how to get an appetite when you join sumos.
And what's for lunch today? As much chako-nabe as you want. Jesse may devour 5 or 6 bowls of it, and just as much rice again, all washed down with crates of beer. Then he'll sleep on it. And that's what goes to make those magnificent stomachs.
健康的だって言える部分もあるし、課題があるっていうところも実際にはあります。健康的だって思う部分っていうのは、主にちゃんこ鍋の使われる素材、肉、魚、卵がしっかりとバランスよく入っていて、また野菜もたくさん入って、海藻類やキノコ類などの、とにかくいろんなビタミンミネラルが、一つのお鍋で食べられるっていうところは本当にヘルシーで、また旨味も味付けも様々なことができますので、本当にヘルシーな食生活ができているなっていう思う反面ですね、またその大量のご飯だったり麺だったりがお腹が空いているタイミングで大量に食べるというこの食事のタイミングっていう部分ではちょっとマイナス部分かなとは思いますね。幼い時に小錦を初めてテレビで見た時には印象はすごく愛くるしいというか、すごいチャーミングな人だなっていうのが先にありますよね。でその上でやっぱり体が日本人とは違う体格をしてるっていうので、驚きましたけれども、これはいろんなふうに思いましたけど、どうやってこの体を支えて相撲を取るのかなとか、どのぐらい食べたらこんなに大きくなるんだろうとか、そういうふうに思いましたね。食欲をコントロールするっていうのは、食べなくてはいけないも困るし、食べてはいけないっていうのもすごく精神的なストレスが大きいですよね。
They used to call me the meat bum or dump truck. I guess I was dumping people, I guess, right? So they finally got kind of vision of me like a dump truck.
To most of our friends, it just looked like these giant beached whales coming into collision with each other. Until you understand the rules and the rituals, it is just one confusing blur of activity. And of course, in sumo, it's not just about those seconds or maybe even a few minutes of actual wrestling. It's all about the prelude to it. It's the salt being put out into the ring.
When you step out to the ring caller calls your name, you go up and you bow, show respect to your opponent. First thing you do, you go to the corners of the ring before you grab your first salt. It's like a Shinto thing, so we had to do that. It's a ceremonial thing. It's like a routine that we had to go through before the matches.
It's the staring each other down and the stomping of the feet and the effort to psych each other out. And in some ways, that's even actually better than the match itself.
I was not in a position to even wrestle those guys. My rank is lower, and I didn't wrestle any guys between them. They throw me to the Yokozunas because I was leading that tournament. Takano Sato, I'm like tackling him off the ring. At the end, he tried to throw me, and I just stepped into him, and I showed like a shoulder block. And in fact, I beat two of the best of sumo at the time.
So September 1984 was when Konishiki beat Chiyonofuji. And as a kid, like, no, we don't remember seeing Chiyonofuji lose.
So Chiyonofuji, he was also called the Wolf Urufu because, until then, sumo wrestlers had always been kind of like big, just like large, stoic. But Chiyonofuji, he's like bulky and muscle, and he's also very good looking. And so he was kind of this like new kind of bad boy who entered the scene. And so, women were going crazy over him. It was definitely like a new wave of fandom that was bubbling at the time too. And he was just like beating everyone, like an actual wolf. Like a wolf goes up against like even larger animals. It's the wolf that wins a lot of the time because they're just like fast and, just like fearless.
本当に千代の富士と当たるとはね、考えてもいなかったようですけれども、このところね。
So grabbing our first salt is actually to purify the ring. And the whole routine that we go through is actually to show my opponent that we're gonna have a fair fight. I don't have any shotguns or I don't have any knives in my pocket. And we're gonna fight man to man, hand to hand. And we only have our flesh to challenge each other.
横綱千代の富士、そして小錦。ここだ。小錦の勝ちです。突き出して小錦。どうにも止まらない小錦の爆心力。横綱千代の富士をも突き出しました。2横綱1大関、そして関脇、まさに旋風小錦、とどまるところを知りません。どうにも止まらない小錦。
I think that was the biggest shock to Japan because he was the best. And I was only like 21, I think. I know he's more experienced than me. I just went up and did what I was good at. And like I said, it doesn't matter who was in front of me. If I did the style of sumo that I'm good at, I don't care who you are. I would have blown you off the ring, which is what I did with both Chiyonofuji and Takano Sato. And the funny thing about the history, you guys got to go back and study that one tournament. They throw me to the Yokozunas. I beat the two Yokozunas. They throw me to a junior champion. I beat the junior champion. And I beat the guy who actually won the tournament. And then they throw me another champion at the last day. That's the one I lost. That gave the guy the championship. So, and if you look in the history of sumo, a guy at number 6 don't wrestle a champion at the last day, not even the last 4 or 5 days. So that was something that really stuck to me. Even now, like I think myself. But it's funny thing, this is the first time I was like talking about it on press, any press. But in Japan, nobody even talks about it, and they know that. They have the ceremony where the grand champions come out. They had a number 6 standing with the grand champions on the ring at the last day of the ceremony. I was supposed not be there. They had guys way higher than me. So like that kind of great memory, I wish I won, but who knows? If I won the tournament, it might have changed my whole career, right? At the end of the day, I'm proud with what I did, and I'm glad I did the way I did it. I don't want to go back in history. I might not even be where I am today.
That shit hit the fan when Konishiki beat Chiyonofuji. And it was 2 years after he became a sumo wrestler. And that is like, you don't do that, like people, I can imagine the Sumo Association just being like, what the hell is going on,
I remember at the beginning, like they're just, okay, just another foreigner coming to sumo now. But like a year and a half later, bro, I was kicking their butt. Like, they had to respect me.
やっぱり私はもうこの両国の地に生まれて育ったので、昔からそれこそ歩いてればお相撲さんが横を歩いてることもあったり、食事を食べてたら横ですっごい量のご飯を食べてるお相撲さんもいたりするんですけれども、やっぱりなんかお相撲さんがいると嬉しくなりますよね。でやっぱり力をもらうことはできると思います。すごいいいイメージしかありません、お相撲さんに対して。
I started dreaming of being Yokozuna when after getting Ozeki, getting up to the Ozeki rank, which was my 5th year.
A foreign-born wrestler becoming Ozeki was something the Sumo Association didn't expect, I don't think, or the fans either. It was like a test, and he did it in such a convincing way that the Sumo Association were scrambling, trying to figure out how to deal with the possibility of having a non-Japanese be a Yokozuna.
The decision-making in Sumo is under the government's watch. And then there's Sumo Association, and there's your stable, and your stable you get your boss. He's the filter to everything we do as sumo wrestlers to the association. And the association have to filter everything through the government. We have to stay in certain boundaries in the things we do because they say it's a traditional thing like kabuki and stuff like that. The morning starts with practice and ends around 11:30, depending how the boss looks. If he was pissed off at a practice, he'll make us practice till like 1 o'clock. And once practice ends, from the top rank, you get to shower first. You get to get in the furo, you do your shower, you get to eat first. About 4 o'clock, people have to get up, clean the whole place. Then the cook's gonna cook. And the ones that have to go and do all the washing, they go to washing clothes. And then at 6 at night, you have your dinner and lights out at 10 o'clock. There's 6 different levels in sumo. At the top of sumo, we have your grand champion, we call it Yokozuna. In old Japan, they didn't have the rank Yokozuna. Yokozuna came later on in sumo history. The highest rank was Ozeki, which is where I won, the champion. And they have junior champion Sekiwake. They have Komosubi, which I said was the first runner-up. And then you have ranks on the east and west, 1 to 16. So that's your top division. There's 2 Yokozunas. One's going to be higher than the other one by being on the east side. East is always a rank higher than the west side. Because after Yokozuna, Ozeki, Sekiwake, Komosubi, Makunouchi, under that, then you have the minor league, Juryo. After this is like lower rank. We call lower, they don't get paid. Makusta, there's maybe 120 of them. And then you have Sandame, you have another like 260 of them. And then below that, Jorinang, the second level. There's about 300 people, 300 sumo guys. And then below that is the Jonoguchi, where all the starters first starting into sumo are stuck there, you know.
A sumo stable is a bit like a boarding school run along medieval lines. No boarding school was ever as tough as this. Takasago is the stable master, and Mito Izumi is one of his boarders. He's getting all this stick only because they like him so much.
Did it hurt?
No, it didn't.
It doesn't hurt, but it stings.
But you hit him harder than that.
Well, you need a lot of encouragement. What I mean by encouragement is by roughing up.
You rough him up?
Yes, and that's one way of building his fighting spirit.
It's a strange way of being kind to the guy, but you're saying you're doing him a favor.
Yes.
In a sumo stable, everything depends on your rank. Young wrestlers fetch and carry for the older ones. They dress them, they help them bathe, they cook their meals and run their messages. It's all part of the discipline of sumo.
If I look back at the way I was brought up, I'm so grateful for it. Having parents that immigrated to Hawaii, not even knowing the culture here, it's all about respect. Mom was like, she was like the honcho. She was the boss, man. She started beating up me and my brother when we were young. But as we got older, like 5th grade, 6th grade, she would break so many brooms on me and my brother because we'd be hard-headed. We found out that, hey, when we start crying, Mom stopped hitting us with the broom. So we stopped crying, she would stop. And then one day she found out that we were faking it. She said, then the scariest thing happened after that. You wait until daddy come home. I want to tell dad. Dad drives in the driveway like 5 o'clock. We're at the door, dad's door. Hi, Dad, welcome home. You know, we're trying to be all nice and cool. And then mom said, yeah, these guys, they never listen. They never clean the yard and all that stuff. So my dad used to like beat the shit out of us, man.
Hello. You become a champion. Look these pictures over here. You are champion of what? Sumo. Because what? You are a big boy. You are a strong boy. You are talent. You get a lot of talent. You know how many times I hit you with a 2x4? How many times I hit you with a belt? How many times I chase you out from the home? Because of those things, I like you to become a good boy and become big boy. Look over here. Where you was? You was in France. France? This is where you was in France. Look, you stay with the big boys. Look over here. That's your partner. That's your partner, Akebono. He's from Hawaii too.
So we learned in a very young age that when the general says salute, make sure you salute. Funny thing, it's kind of similar to sumo. Everything is about seniority.
So it's 1987, and Konishiki becomes Ozeki. So we had seen him become Sekiwake, right? But there's a lot of folks, they become Sekiwake, and then they don't really make it any further than that.
What was happening outside of sumo was the media was kind of beating me up. They're writing things about putting sugar in your soup so you can get sick. They have like voodoo dolls where they're making at the temples, stuff like that. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's the kind of gossip was on the streets at that time.
So it was becoming clear in 1991, 1992, that Konishiki was going to be a contender for Yokozuna. But there was also the question of the judges and whether or not the judges would basically be willing to make a Hawaiian, Samoan, and induct them into the highest rank in sumo for the first time in Japanese history. A member of the Sumo Promotion Board, a Japanese official, wrote an article that basically said no non-Japanese could ever have the hinkaku, the spirit, to be promoted to Yokozuna, the highest rank. And of course, Yokozuna is not only a position in sumo, it has a sort of reverence about it in the Shinto religion as well. And he made this as part of his argument. And it sort of became the metaphor for all of the problems that American, European, other non-Japanese companies and executives were having breaking in to the Japanese market. Konishiki one day gave an interview to the Nikkei, the leading financial paper in Japan, and the way it read was, there's only one reason why I did not make it to Yokozuna. It's because I'm not Japanese. Strictly speaking, it is racial discrimination. Well, that was the most straight up that we had ever heard Konishiki or any of the Hawaiians make this case. Our Japanese assistants worked on getting him on the phone, and I picked up the phone, and there he was, or someone was, identifying themselves as Konishiki and speaking in English. And so we wrote a story. When it appeared in Japan that Konishiki had told the New York Times that he was not being promoted because of an issue of racial discrimination, it went off like a bomb. And it was fascinating. He had said the same thing to one of the leading Japanese newspapers, and no one paid any attention. But when you say it to an American newspaper, it came across as criticism of Japanese society and rulemaking from the inside getting out. And suddenly, it became the lead item on the evening news, the television news. He was under huge pressure to retract the statement.
Somebody called to interview, and they just asked, "Oh yeah, this is Konishiki," and they was asking, "What you think about him not making grand champion?" He just tell him, "Man, that's full of shit. He should have made grand champion." And he's a young boy, right? He just speaking his mind. And then I didn't find out till really later on too. And then the article came out. Then I thought, "Did you talk to?" Yeah, that was me. And he even came out and told, "Yeah, that was me. I said that." You know. It was too late, man. Everything was directed to me, man, and I had to go apologize and to the media association, and I almost killed myself then. I didn't want to do sumo anymore. I called my mom and tell her, "Hate to say, if you don't find me coming home, I'll be dead somewhere in the world. I wouldn't want to be in Japan no more." Just got married. I told my wife then, "You can go home. I'm finished." It was such a sad time for me, really bad. Like, I wanted to kill myself so bad. To me, I worked so hard to be part of the Sumo Association, and I didn't feel like anybody was trying to protect me. My coach at the time wasn't trying to protect me. They wanted me to apologize for something I didn't do, and I felt so bad, and I couldn't focus no more. I lost all concentration, I lost all heart. It took me a year to get out of that. I didn't care really much about making it already. I cared more about just trying to catch myself, because I knew I loved sumo. I wanted to do sumo a little longer, and I didn't want to leave sumo. So I just was trying to fight to find myself, just to survive. You know, my dreams of waking up being a Yokozuna was gone. I didn't even want to be. I just wanted to hang on and see how long I can be a sumo wrestler.
ハワイ出身アケボノ太郎、本名チャド・ローウェン。幼少時代はあまり体が大きい方ではありませんでしたが、ハイスクールに入り身長が2メートル近くまで伸び、バスケットボールのフォワードとして活躍しました。ハワイで東関親方にスカウトされ、昭和63年2月10日来日しました。
It was the first time that I dealt with somebody who was truly the champion of the world. I mean, you can imagine, he's an imposing figure. I've been around other athletes before, but no matter who or what is around, he has a gravity, pulls all the attention. This is a monster of a man, 6'8", 550 pounds. So stars, other celebrities, everyone wants to touch him. Everyone wants a picture with him. Everyone wants to get a sense or be kind of in his aura. He really has a sense of gravitas. That's very unique.
Grand champion sumos reach the exalted level known as Yokozuna. In 3 centuries, only 64 wrestlers have made it. It used to be thought that no foreigner could ever marshal the mental, physical, and cultural discipline needed to be a grand champion. But that has changed. One of the most famous men in Japan is a 23-year-old Hawaiian who wrestles under the name Akebono, meaning sunrise. In January, Akebono became the first foreign Yokozuna ever, pleasing those who wanted to see sumo go global, but raising objections from purists who see sumo as more national ritual than sport.
So it's March 1988, and Yakamiyama brings in Chad Rowan, Akebono, into the sumo world. And so that was also the first time that a foreign oyakata brought in a foreign wrestler. You know, everyone was kind of curious, like, oh, who's this guy that Yakamiyama brought in? And of course, he's like huge, you know, so tall, very long arms, legs. It was a new form of a sumo wrestler that Japanese people had never seen before.
And now he's facing Konishiki. Before the bout, it was already like people were talking about it. Konishiki versus Akebono. It was kind of like, hey, tomorrow's the day kind of thing. And I remember I was in high school at the time, and it was another one of those moments. It was like, no one had ever seen that before. And just to see these Japanese fans, you know, these old school fans watching 2 Americans face-off in sumo was just, I mean, history changing.
Sumo is not a sport, it's a lifestyle. Just look at the way we dress. We don't come to practice and when we finish changing to regular clothes and go home. We live a sumo lifestyle. The first 6 months was real hard because of the length of my legs and being so high above the ground was a real disadvantage, but also having long arms and my body was so long was easy to keep people away from me. So, and then all of a sudden you start moving up, you start getting the respect of the people, you start getting fan letters, you start making money. People who come around you, there's different class of people. There's only 67 people who were privileged enough to wear a white belt. And out of those 67, there was only 2 non-Japanese. So it's a big honor. You have a lot of responsibility, but you know, if we never came to sumo, I wouldn't be able to say I did something that nobody else ever did.
When he became grand champion, I was so proud of that because somebody had to break the ice. I couldn't. I had a chance. I didn't, and he did. And the biggest thing about it was just another local boy made it. You know what I mean? I felt good, man. You know, I had somebody to pass the torch to, represent the 808 state. You know, I was ready to go. I knew I was gonna go. We had to go through 3 guys to take that steps. Jesse, step 1, step 2, and then break the ice. You know. Then right after that, Musashimaru came and made grand champion.
So Musashimaru was the youngest of the 4 Hawaiian sumotori, and he's still the most active in that world. He's oyakata, so he's a sumo elder. He has his own stable. Very humble, very quiet. Really, between him and Konishiki, they have a big brother, little brother relationship, which you can see is complete trust.
Yoo-hoo! Yo! This is the Yokozuna talking to you!
Musashimaru had both bulk and he would use technique as well. He made people realize that it was just going to be a part of sumo now where foreign sumo wrestlers were going to get to the top.
I would pound these guys every day in practice. That's the only way to get my stress out is to pound these guys because we don't communicate. We always say yes or no or thank you. That's about it.
I want to ask you, do you hate your opponent?
It's a one-on-one thing where you have to have that killing instinct in you so you actually hate your opponent when you go in the ring.
So if you were wrestling him today, you would hate him, right?
Of course.
And you would want to not hurt him.
I want to kill him.
So in other words, it would be very bad for me, a stranger to you, to offend you.
Very bad, very bad.
Very bad, very bad.
So Akebono's part was he had a longer reach than everybody. If you don't get across that line before he stretches his arm, you're gonna get cleaned out, you're gonna get wiped out from him. So if you don't get across that line before he stretches his arm, there's no way you're gonna win.
Konishiki never made it to Yokozuna. And maybe that was more because of his knees than because of racial discrimination, or maybe it was more racial discrimination than his knees. People can argue that out. But I actually believe that if Konishiki had not gone through this process, had not publicly called out the Japanese Sumo Association for racial discrimination, even if he had to back up and deny it and fuzzy it up later on, that it would have been hard for Akebono to make it. Someone had to pave the way here. Someone had to play the role of those great civil rights leaders in the United States who marched across the bridge or sat in the front of the bus and got arrested and got denounced, to air this out and basically make the Japanese establishment retreat from the position that they wanted at the time to take. And so even though Konishiki didn't make it to Yokozuna, I think he played a critical role in making it possible for Akebono and others to make it.
僕が小さい頃はハワイの力士といえば高見山で、スラットっていうか高身長で、ね、上半身ガッとしているのに割と足が細めな感じですごく印象に残ってます。
聞いたりもしっかりしてるし、やっぱり一個人として尊敬できたり、ひたむきに向かってるところがかっこいいなと思います。
特にあけぼのさんの確か初めて横綱になりましたよね、あけぼのさんって海外移籍で。その時はなんか幼少を着ながらすごい強烈に覚えてる記憶があります。
一部屋一人しか外国人力士取れないけど、でもすごいいいことだと思います。日本の文化が海外にも広まって、それでハワイでこの人は日本ですごいことをした力士なんだよっていうのが広まるっていうのは、やっぱ日本の文化の発展にもつながっていくと思います。
すごい日本に親しみを持ってくれたアメリカ人というか、ハワイからわざわざ日本に来て日本の文化の中で日本のルールで戦ってくれたじゃないですか。今どっちかっていうと向こうのルールを輸入しようとしてるのかなっていうね。確かに強ければね部屋も儲かるし、
みんなで見に行くとね、おばあちゃんがねこう赤ちゃんだったイリちゃんをバッて力士の前に差し出して抱っこさせたりとか、だから多分4回ぐらい抱っこしてもらったことがあると思うんですけど、そのおかげで元気に育ってます。
すごい細い。最初ねやっぱり6年間いると最初にあった序の口とか序二段のところから見た方ってすごく細いんですよ。で皆さんそこから体をどんどんウェイトやったりとかそういうトレーニングとかで体を大きくしてご飯をね無理やり食べたりとか、そういう体作りをして、で徐々に体が大きくなっていって、で取り組みをね毎回やるじゃないですか。そういう頑張りっていうか、なかなかそこまで今までだったらねそうで裏側って見ることがなかったと思うんですけど、そういう人たち、そういう力士の若い子たちを見てるとすごくやっぱり陰で努力してるところとか、 そうですね、そういうところを誰もがやっぱり力士の誰もがやっぱり知ってきたことなんだろうなと思うんですよね。
The competition is 15 days. To recover from a 15-day, man. At first, the 2-3 days, I would just sleep, man. And I remember that my first couple years, I would bleed so much after the tournament, through my nose, through my mouth. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was stress or something, but it only happens the day after the tournament. To recover, I did massages, acupuncture, and because we're bigger, they had to treat us differently from regular people. You know, you're going through thick meat to get to the bone or whatever you're trying to get to. It's different body work. So I get the real masters to do me, and it's painful. They're good. I just don't go to a certain massage. I go to a sensei, and he kills you, man. I got introduced to one of my friends. Says, you got to do this because it cleans your inner parts. It releases all the pain. I asked him what I got to do. He said, well, first you got to turn over and put your pants down. And then he has this little bamboo. He sticks it up your a-hole. And there's this metal thing that he puts some kind of medication on it. It's a hot metal. And he sticks the metal into the bamboo that's inside of me, and you can feel your body go like hot. But it's so embarrassing. And sometimes he put it so deep, the thing burned my asshole, man. And this is the craziest one. But the thing is, I never quit. I did it like 5 times because I felt it could help me, you know?
I didn't do nothing to my body. I don't like massage. I don't want nobody touching me. I only go to sleep to take away the pain. 1989, is the first time I entered the world of sumo. It's the first time I had butterflies. Usually I don't have butterflies. But I was nervous about, I had to go to the arena and I seen bigger guys, a lot bigger than me. I had a hard time because nobody speaks the language. So I had a hard time when I first came for about 2 years. The only way to get my stress out is to pound these guys because we don't communicate. We always say yes or no or thank you, that's about it. Before we get started, everybody think that I'm sleeping on them, when I'm sitting on the ground, everybody think that I'm sleeping, but I'm not sleeping. I'm not looking at nobody. I'm just looking on the ground, concentrating on my sumo. And then when I go on the ring, nothing changed. I don't give them no mean face. People hit their face, hit their bodies. I don't do nothing. All I do is grab my salt, go back in the middle, but they don't know what I'm thinking about. My fight is more on the finesse side compared to, like Akebono, Konishiki, and Yakamiyama. My style of sumo is not full-on strength sumo. I use both sides of the sumo. I just don't go out there with brute strength to beat the guys. I let the guys think before they come on the ring.
大相撲の歴史に残る武蔵丸貴乃花の千秋楽相星決戦。まわしは取れない。武蔵丸が突き放します。押っつけながらまわしを探る貴乃花。武蔵丸の太い右、タイナが帰った。寄り切り、武蔵丸の勝ち。貴乃花復活優勝はなりません。もう一人心を鬼にした横綱がいました。去年の夏に置いてきたあの悔しさ、ようやく武蔵丸が拭い去りました。武蔵丸12回目の優勝。
寄り切って武蔵丸の勝ち。
I never thought I was good. Every day was a learning day for me, and when I made the top ranks, I never thought I was the strongest guy. Every day was a learning day until I retired. Even though I got to Yokozuna, I still was learning about sumo techniques, how to get better. I never stopped learning until I got off the ring. When Akebono made the grand champion, first to be called the living god is, every Yokozuna they call it the living god. When I was, become a Yokozuna and they call me the living god, that was it. My dream when I came into sumo is to be somebody big.
We're back on Larry King Live talking sumo wrestling with three of the best champions all and a former champion and coach as well. All four are Hawaiian born. The next caller is from Columbus, Ohio. Hello.
I would like to know why we don't see more, any of it here. I've seen it in Japan. And
Why hasn't it exported?
Well, it's getting too expensive now.
Expensive?
Expensive.
But to clothe them, I guess, expensive. Would you like to go to the United States?
By the way, we've been there in New York in 1985, I think it was.
You wrestled?
Yes, we in Madison Square Garden. And we've been kind of abroad. We were in Germany and Spain last year.
How did it go?
Real good. And we were in Hong Kong just this past February.
I hosted Lady Diana and Prince Charles. They came to Sumo after their marriage. And after my matches, I was the one that actually hosted them upstairs. I guess I was the one that spoke English, so I still remember what questions. How do you guys get so big? I thought, well, we eat 2 meals a day, only 2 meals, and then, are you guys healthy? I thought, well, we have 2 checkups every year.
Enter the prince and princess, about to chalk up another first. They're so fat, said the princess.
We did Albert Hall, the sumo.
A world exclusive at the home of the Proms. The floor of the very British Royal Albert Hall is now creaking under 40 tons of West London clay, the stage for the first sumo tournament to be held outside Japan.
And we were actually staying at the hotel right outside of Buckingham. And there's a back gate that actually comes past that hotel in the backside. And I was outside walking, and actually she was driving in a little car, and she stopped and she talked to me when I was on the street. So the meeting in Japan was great, but having her stop me on the street near the hotel when she was driving out and said hi to me, that was unreal,
Press coverage has concentrated on the daily intake of the 40 men, over 200 pounds of meat and 100 pounds of vegetables. And some of the wrestlers are thought to be unhappy that lack of British understanding has led to the sensationalising of a serious religious ritual. Officials, though, are taking a diplomatic line.
I'm sure the whole audience will learn how to appreciate the uniqueness of sumo.
We need to exchange more of our cultures, and by doing so, enrich our creativity. That is the way that reconciles and enriches hearts and minds, and leads to greater understanding and better communications.
This morning, the ring was consecrated in a Shinto ceremony, an invitation to the spirits to protect the wrestlers from injury. The 5-day event is sold out. High culture or crude sport, it's certainly commercial.
In the 80s and 90s, they're traveling around the world. They're going to London, Paris, Moscow, Sydney, New York City, playing Madison Square Garden. They're the stars. These huge Japanese men roll into town wearing yukata, very unique. And then who's getting all the attention? The English speakers, because that's how they need to communicate. And so, there's opportunities galore. And it was a really exciting period because everyone wanted a piece of the big boys.
All right, let's go. Konishiki, first step.
There's a story that you guys all don't know about that I went through that people don't know that I was first retired. I didn't know I was retired. I flew in my dad and my friends and some of my family members because I wanted them to see my last match. I ended up not doing it even in my last 2-3 matches because they just figured that I was retired. Somebody called me up and said, "Hey, what's the matter? What happened?" They had it on the news. They said, "You're retired." I said, "What?" I didn't know. I didn't know I retired. Yeah, that was one of the saddest times too, man. I was like going crazy. And all my boys, like all my servants, all my apprentice guys, they were crying like, frick them, just go. Let's just go and wrestle. You didn't know you wrestled, they first retired you, man. My dad found out when he was in a plane. Stewardess told him, your son is retired, like, and he couldn't figure it out because he knew he was gonna come here to see my last match. And that's the last thing they kind of stabbed me with. And so, you know, that's how it ended my career. After the last of the tournament, we did a big press conference. And my dad just told me, hey, don't say anything stupid. Thank your fans for everything. Be grateful. That's all you need to say. And I did it. I cried so much before that. I was fighting it because, wow, I was so pissed off. I would have just stabbed my boss in the throat right there. I had a chance, he was sitting next to me.
What happens during the retirement ceremony is the family that your bea is involved with supports you to put on an event. It's basically your chance to cash in with zero expenses. You try to sell your TV rights, you sell sponsorship, you sell ticketing income, you give the opportunity for longtime friends and family and partners to give you access to participate in what's called the Danpatsushiki, which is the haircutting ceremony. That is a very much an honorific opportunity. And you step up onto the dohyo where the champion or soon-to-be ex-champion is sitting, and you cut 1 or 2 strands of his hair. I think most of the sumo wrestlers actually keep that in a glass case or something as a keepsake forever.
Even now, decades after retirement, 4-year-olds will know who he is. And a 104-year-old will know who he is. There's no one else like that. And I don't think there ever will be.
When my wife found a stray kitten on the streets of Tokyo and brought him home and nursed him back to health, and he became a great, courageous, foraging cat, we named him Konishiki.
Is it considered of highest order to be a sumo wrestler?
In Japan, sumo wrestlers are like considered walking gods. Like, as you notice, Akebono, Yokozuna, that thing that he wears, the belt, the white belt that he wears around him during the sumo tournaments is, you only can find them at temples.
So you're worshipped here? Well, no. You don't want to be worshipped here. Musashimaru, right? All right. I got you laughing already, right? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
You're not even pronouncing my name, right?
All right. Musashimaru.
Musashimaru.
Musashi.
The R is hard, huh?
Okay. What made you a sumo wrestler? You're going to tell me Konishiki? I'm going to be...
No, because I want to be like him. So.
You wanted to be him?
I want to be like him.
He was famous?
Yeah.
Did you want to be like him, too? Was he like your hero?
Yes.
Is he like one of the elder gods of the sport?
Yeah. No, just the heaviest guy in sumo.
Even when I retired, I even had a real famous singer at my retirement. He goes, no matter what, to me, he was always a Yokozuna to us. And he said that in public because when I did my retirement, it was all live on TV. And that's where I know I had some kind of talent outside of sumo. So.
Make way for the sumo, coming straight outside more. Known to shake the ground when I first touch down. Push more weight than Q. Average yo sipping down on the island in the loop. Built to last like an Energizer bunny. Push you 700 and still make you money.
金なくなるぞ、見てみ、このぐらい金入ってんじゃん。なんだいな、次は負けないっすからね。知らないっすよ。
Is
はい、私は小錦の、家族を大事にするところや、常にこうまっすぐ物事を見たり、人に対しても素直に、何でも助言できることを尊敬してます。
ついにその戦いの火蓋が切って落とされる。全く違う2人の体格、身長体重などは曙が勝っているものの、腕の太さやベンチプレスを上げる筋肉の強さではジョージ・ファラが上。
1勝1敗のタイです。
筋肉と筋肉のぶつかり合い、プライドとプライドのぶつかり合い、ついに決着の時が訪れた。
ゴー！さあ行くか！
Well, with us now and holding me up like a feather, I don't know why he's shaking though, is Yakamiyama, one of the wrestlers that you just saw in action. In fact, he holds a special honor because he's Hawaiian by birth and he's the only non-Japanese to have won sumo wrestling's top trophy, the Empress Cup. You can put me down now. Thank you very much. Nonsense. I just said I was like a feather.
What a relief.
Sumo wrestlers have the status of an English pop star, don't you? It's the same kind of glamour and you sign autographs and you're very famous and well known. Do you enjoy all that?
Yes, I do.
And have you had a chance to see any English wrestling, or are you hoping that you might?
Well, I hope I could see some before I leave England.
Well, I hope you do. Thank you all very much indeed.
Yakamiyama was always, a gentleman. He likes to crack jokes. And he always shoots the birds when he sees me. He's always doing this to me. That's his way of saying aloha. No, but they're going to remember Yakamiyama because he was the first one that came over and he paved the road for us. And we just came in after and we just smoothed it out for him. So we're going to be remembered as the big guys who came into sumo. We used to hit a guy and make the guy count the birds in his head every time. So today, what I do for a living, I'm a stable master. I run my stable, and I have like 20 wrestlers in my stable.
My name is Fiamalu Penitani. I'm 19 years of age, and I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii. Yeah. I came to Japan in 2012, June, right after my graduation. And right from there, my uncle came and scouted me to come to do sumo.
We have practice almost every day. It's no holidays for us. So I'm working to build some ranking wrestlers right now. You're pushing off. Don't let me push. The wrestlers from outside is more hungry than the Japanese wrestler, We're from outside, we don't have nothing.
Gentle giants from the countryside, why Manalo?
I didn't imagine being what I am today. I'm so happy to everything that's happened in my life. It's hard to say anybody's successful because if you don't bring everybody around you up with you, success is still not there. And my goal was actually to help my family. Deep inside, my soul is all about sumo. The things I do today is I try to do the best I can because I know I was an ex-sumoer, so I get to represent. Anything I do good, people go, oh, he's an ex-sumoer, which is something I carry. It's like I carry my name. My blood in me is my family blood, so I cannot embarrass my family by doing something stupid. Same thing with sumo. I'm here for life to represent sumo.
A dream that seemed impossible with dignity. They are Hawaii, Sumotori, Akebono, Musashimaru, and Konishiki. Akebono, Musashimaru, and Konishiki.
HRES 479 recognizes the contributions of Jesse Kualua, known professionally as Yakamiyama Daigoro, a trailblazer in the sport of sumo wrestling. Jesse made his debut as an aspirant in Japan's national sport in the winter of 1964 in Osaka. At the time, he knew little of the Japanese language and the subtleties of the sport itself. In this initial test, he wondered if his stay in Japan would be counted in weeks or months. In 1972, he became the first foreigner to win the Emperor's Cup, a top division championship in the sport. He was also the first foreign-born wrestler to climb to sumo's third highest rank of Sekiwake. Yakamiyama also stands as the only foreigner to open his own heya, or stable, in order to train future generations in the sport after he stopped actively competing himself. Yakamiyama opened the door for others from Hawaii to join him in this most ancient of sports. This group includes Saleva'a Atisanoe, also known as Konishiki, who became the first foreigner to reach the second highest rank of Ozeki. Chad Rowan, also known as Akebono, who became the first foreigner to hold the highest rank of sumo, that of Yokozuna. And Fiamalu Penitani, also known as Musashimaru, who became the second foreigner to hold the title of Yokozuna. Today, foreigners from other countries such as Mongolia, Russia, and Georgia have attained higher rankings and remarkable acclaim in this most ancient of Japanese sports. I urge my colleagues to support this recognition of Jesse Kualua, a true ambassador of the Aloha spirit. Would like to just note in closing that a very famous singer who sadly has passed away, named Israel Kamaka Viviole, wrote a wonderful song about our Hawaiian sumo wrestlers, calling them gentle giants.
Gentle giants from the countryside, Waimanalo, Nanakuli and Waianae, they are the champion in a foreign land, national heroes. Famous idols in Japan, Akebono, Musashimaru, and Konishiki. Akebono, Musashimaru, and Konishiki. They've traveled 1,000 miles away, sometimes lonely, far away from family, all is conquered. A dream that seemed impossible with dignity. They are Hawaii, Sumotori, Akebono, Musashimaru, and Konishiki. Akebono, Musashimaru, and Konishiki.